In the first 4 weeks of doing this, so like in the first 30 days, I lost. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Roberta from Dhammainspiredliving, and today I would like to talk about my 45 days of not having any sugar. So yeah, yesterday was day 45, so today is technically day 46, but I guess I just want to give you like a summary of what it has been like, why I am doing it, and the benefits and all that good stuff. So I want to start with my background with sugar. So basically all my life I have had some form of sugar since I've been growing up. I wouldn't classify growing up as being like unhealthy in a way that I was eating a lot of sugar or soda or something, or drinking a lot of soda. Especially until I was like 11, I would say I was pretty healthy. But still, like when we went to my grandparents, my grandma loves baking, so she would bake loads and loads of sugary, snacks and whatnot. So I definitely have been addicted to sugar since a really young age, I would say. I've also been kind of like dealing with my emotions via sugar. That's 100%. I definitely know that, especially when my periods, I was on my period, or when I was premenstrual. My go-to was like sugar, or things I would turn into sugar, like for example crisps, yeah. And another thing is that I've tried to quit sugar for quite a few times already. I would say at least 2 or 3 times, and each time it just didn't work. And I would like to say that whenever I tried to quit sugar, I was vegan, and basically I just wasn't able to do it. And it's not just because I was vegan, but also because my mental health, I think, was not in the right place at the time. Yeah, so it didn't work. So fast forward to 45 days ago, I was in the middle of doing the presence process. If you don't know what that is, I'm gonna have another video about that, but it's basically some sort of like a process where you're kind of integrating a lot of your suppressed emotions and childhood traumas or childhood imprinting. And I was going through that, and there was a part of me towards the end that was like, right, I need to let go of sugar because I've been dealing with my emotions via sugar. So then I decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And yeah, it was actually much easier than I expected. But let me just first tell you what I'm doing on this, what I mean when I say no sugar, because I know that different videos or different people do different things. So for me, not having any sugar means no processed sugar whatsoever. That means all the names, there are like 72 names, right? So none of those. And on top of that, I'm also not having any sweeteners, whether that's stevia or xenothyl. Xenothyl, I think it's called xenothyl. And I'm also not having any natural sweeteners, such as honey or agave. Is it agave natural? I'm not sure. Maple syrup. And I'm also having only a handful of fruit and no dried fruit. So I'm having lemons, limes, grapefruit, a handful of berries, and some apples now and then, but I don't have any like bananas or pineapples or mangoes, whatever it has like high sugar content. So yeah, a fairly low sugar intake. And then on top of that, I'm also not having any kind of flour. So that's flour of any kind, like chickpea flour or lentil flour or gluten-free flour or any kind of flour. I'm not having it. So yeah, the reason I'm also not having flour and what I've been following is this book called The Sugar Detox. Here's an image of what it looks like, and I'll also link it in the description. It's a free book that you can download, and it actually goes through the reasoning behind it in more detail, but the gist of it is that flour turns into sugar in your body, and kind of it has a similar type of effect in your body as just having sugar. It gives you like a spike in your sugar, blood sugar levels. So that's why I decided to cut it out, and this book has been really helpful. So this is what I've been doing, and in terms of more practicalities or more what it looks like in my day-to-day or how I eat, I have lunchtime. In my lunchtime I have protein, cooked vegetables, raw vegetables, maybe some starchy vegetables, lots of vegetables, a lot of green vegetables, and then I have like some fruits with some nuts and seeds, or just like, I don't know, almond butter or something like that. And I don't have any legumes or grains, because legumes and grains are not really, they don't really sit really well with me, and I kind of found that out when I was vegan. Like they're just not, my tummy is not happy with them. So yeah, so I have like lunch and dinner. And when I started with this like no sugar, I didn't have in mind how I was going to eat. I was like, I'll just eat as many meals as I want, and as many as I feel the need to. But the way it developed over the past 40 days was that I started with also having a breakfast, and probably the first week I had breakfast every day. But then I started to notice that actually I'm not really hungry. So I just have lunch, and then I feel super satiated, and then I just have dinner, and then I feel really satiated until next day lunch. So I'm actually having only lunch and dinner. Yeah. And also in terms of what I'm eating, this Sugar Detox book has a good kind of recommendation in terms of what kind of what kind of proportions to have. I don't like calorie count, or I'm not really specific about portions. I just put it on my plate and I eat it. I'm not too bothered. I'm not good with like counting calories. I never have been, and I don't really want to do that because I know it's not really good for my mental health. I just want to be more in touch with how I feel, how much I need to eat, and etc. So the detox process was quite difficult, I would say, the first 2 weeks. However, having said that, it was not as difficult as the previous times I've tried it. I think I was just better prepared. I'm maybe a bit mentally stronger because I have been meditating for quite a long time now, so I have a better way of dealing with things, and whenever things were coming up, I knew that it was because of the sugar, and I dealt with it in different ways. So the physical detox symptoms, the first 2 days was not much happening really. It was just like, oh, okay. But then it kind of kicked in from day 3, and from day 3 until day 7, and maybe even through until day 14, I would say I had symptoms like headaches. I couldn't really sleep. I was feeling tired, feeling quite like groggy in my body, and emotionally quite grumpy and irritable. I would say the first 2 weeks I was mega irritable, and it was good to know that that's what was happening, and that's why I was feeling irritable. So it wasn't that bad because I knew why it was there, and also I could communicate that with people around me in a way that was alright. And yeah, I guess I just needed more sleep. Definitely, I was sleeping much more, and I was irritable. I was needing more sleep, but also I couldn't sleep. But I also have a baby who is 7 months old who keeps waking up, so that also affected, obviously, my sleep. Oh, another thing was, which is super interesting, is that I noticed that my son's sleep was also disrupted for the first 2 weeks. He kept waking up and he was not so happy. So I feel like me not eating sugar and flour was also affecting him. He was also going through the detox, which is like mind-blowing. Yeah, so, and then after the 2 weeks, I would say that after that it was more like just emotional detoxing, and I think that that's still happening, where I feel in a certain way and I'm like, oh, I would like to maybe eat a cake, but I'm not actually wanting to eat a cake, if that makes sense, on a physical level. I don't feel this need to eat something sweet. I'm also not hungry between meals, so it's not a physical need, it's more just like an emotional, a nostalgia, like this is how I used to deal with my emotions, and I don't have this now. So yeah, anyway, going on to the benefits, because I know that well, if you're watching this, you're like, why would I go through all that detox if there's no benefit? But there are loads of benefits. And so let's talk about just the physical benefits first, which there's quite a lot of. Like, okay, starting with physical. I have, my hunger levels are much more stable. So I eat my lunch and I don't feel hungry until dinner. And even when I feel hungry, it's not this kind of like desperate hunger. I don't know about you, but for me it was like, I'm desperate to eat something, you know, and feeling a bit irritable. But right now it doesn't feel like that at all. It's like, oh, I'm hungry and I would like to eat, but if I don't eat, you know, in the next even hour, it's not a big deal. Like I'm not irritable at all, which is great because I can, you know, I have 2 small kids, so it's sometimes you don't get to eat exactly the same time that you would expect. Just a wee interruption to check whether you've managed to like and subscribe. Please do if you haven't, it really helps with the algorithm. And yeah, back to the video. Yeah, I also noticed, as I said, that I'm not really snacking and I'm not craving anything sugary. I'm not craving any food. Maybe before I quit sugar, I was thinking about what am I gonna eat next, or oh, I would like to eat that, but I'm not really craving that at all anymore, which is great. In terms of my energy levels, they have definitely evened out, but I would say that I've noticed certain things. So it's not just about the sugar and the flour, because I was still eating like starchy veggies and like some grains, or maybe some legumes like peanut butter, because yeah, peanuts are legumes, and dairy as well. And I noticed that cutting those out actually helped my energy levels even more. So I would say that that's because of the sugar, but it's not just because of the sugar, it's because of other things too. So yeah, my energy levels have evened out, and I don't really have that kind of dip through the day, and especially I don't have that dip after I've eaten. But there's a big but. I notice that I have that dip when I have starchy vegetables, which is interesting, right? Like when I don't have starchy vegetables or grains or whatever, then I'm like, oh, right, I've eaten and now I can do stuff. But when I have starchy vegetables, it's somehow like I feel that sluggishness. So I'm still kind of experimenting with what I eat and how that affects me. But generally speaking, my energy level is great. After eating, I have loads of energy. I don't feel like sleeping. I don't have that kind of afternoon slump that I used to have. Well, in my case, maybe it was more of a slump, because after I ate anything sugary, I had that kind of like a crash. What else? I'm less thirsty. This is an interesting one. Like I'm definitely less thirsty. I wonder whether I was kind of in a pre-diabetic state, or I was like developing like insulin resistance, and now that I'm eating in a much healthier way, I'm not, because I know that when you're diabetic, you feel very thirsty. So I feel definitely less thirsty. And what else is there on a physical level? Oh yes, mental clarity for sure. Yeah, I just feel clearer and can think better. I would say that my mood has stabilized as well, so I'm not so up and down moody or irritable, which is great. And my sleep has been great too, and I feel that I can go to sleep. I go to sleep about 10, maybe wake up at 6, and I've had a good night's sleep even though my son wakes up. But more importantly, it's easy for me to get to sleep at 10, and it's easy for me to wake up at 6. I don't feel like ugh. Oh, another thing which is super interesting is that after maybe a few weeks of doing this sugar-free or lifestyle, I guess, I've noticed that the first few weeks I was going to sleep at like 8 with my kids, because I was like, I'm wiped. But now at 8, I'm still not like I would like to go to sleep. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do some stuff. So I've been doing like more yoga and things like that in the evening. So another thing I would definitely say about the physical change is that you're more, or certainly I'm more wanting to take care of myself. Whereas when I was eating sugar, it was not like the top of my priority. So for example, if I had between 8 and 10, I was maybe not so inclined to do yoga, but just do something that wasn't really serving my health. I don't know, watching YouTube videos or something like that. Yeah, that's physical. In terms of mental health, I've definitely noticed, as I said, that my mood has been much better. My mind is just not all over the place, and I feel like I can see more clearly like what I need to do to feel better, and I'm able to take those steps, and I'm not kind of just stuck in this rut, which maybe I was before. What else is there in terms of benefits? Oh, I've lost weight, but I was overweight when I started, but that's like a whole nother story, because I gained quite a lot of weight with my son when I was pregnant with him, and also it was lockdown, so I was not feeling so well. So I gained like 25 kilos with my son. So when he was born in February, since then I've been like gradually losing the weight. So cutting out sugar has just been helping with that process, but it's not really like quick fix of I want to lose this much weight in this short amount of time, but it definitely like helped me. In the first 4 weeks of doing this, so like in the first 30 days, I lost like 5 kilos. 3 kilos were in the first week because, you know, whenever you change your diet or do something different, you kind of lose a lot of like water weight as well. But then since then it has been more like, you know, like 3 kilos in the first week and then 2 kilos in the 3 weeks, which kind of feels quite healthy. And yeah, I feel much better in all sorts of ways. The fact that I'm satiated and I don't feel like eating, and I'm not using eating as a tool to comfort myself, has been a huge change. And maybe that's why also I'm doing more things that are better for me, like yoga and more meditation. Even though I've been meditating before, I'm doing more of that, like little ceremonies for myself, intention setting, foot bath. I feel like I'm doing those things for myself because they help me with my emotions, and they're actually a much healthier way to deal with them than eating something sugary. So yeah, that's my sugar-free journey so far, 45 days of no sugar. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.